Hello, and welcome to the Women in Data Science series of the Sheela Show. This is our 11th episode. Thank you all for your love and affection to the series. I'm Shailendra, and you're watching this simulcast live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I hope you and your family are safe. Every fortnight, we bring the leading ladies of data science to this platform, and we try to understand their point of view about data science. So, if you know any leading lady of data science and want the entire audience to hear about their point of view on this roundtable, then please mention their name in the comment section and I will try to get them. Now, if you have any question, then please write the question in the comment section and I promise that we will take them in the audience Q&A section. Now, let me not waste any time and quickly bring the guests to you. My first guest is Dr. Meltem Ballan, an accomplished technology executive with a unique combination of analytical and leadership expertise developed over 20 years, both in industry and academia. A pioneering woman data scientist who has nurtured and mentored hundreds of budding analysts and scientists as a recognized leader and as an advisory board member. So let me get Dr. Ballan. Hello, Dr. Ballan. How are you?
Hello. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm so happy to be here, even though it's midnight. I waited for this show. I was so excited. So as you put, I'm a data science fellow at GM. And before I joined to GM, I worked in academia and also industry, both as an engineer and also neuroscientist.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am at GM. It's my dream job that I take the car and then put it on the corner and then use it as my data server.
Good stuff. So let me bring the other guests as well. So just give me a second and I'll bring them one by one. So my second guest is Dr. Sheela Siddappa. Dr. Sheela Siddappa is the Chief Advisor to the Data Science Program at Bosch. She guides the unit with technical solutions, business trends, consultation, recruitment, etc. With over 14 years of industry experience in the field of machine learning, Dr. Sheela has addressed business problems in domains like Industry 4.0, healthcare, energy, manufacturing, smart city, etc. So she's a veteran there as well. So let me bring in Dr. Sheela Siddappa. Hello, Dr. Sheela, how are you?
Hello, very good morning and evening to most of you as well. Nice to be here. Thanks, Shaili, for calling me on this show. Amazing. And it's a great journey, I should say, to be in the field of data science. I would love to give my little bit to the world to say, how it has been as an experience and things more at Bosch as well. Thank you.
And you are joining us from Bangalore. So we've got someone joining from Texas, Austin.
Yes.
We've got someone joining from Bangalore, and let's join the dots. I'm from Sydney, so let's join the dots and bring someone else from another part of the world. But before I say that, for you to view this episode and other sessions that I run on Emerging Technologies live, I would request you to follow me so that you can be alerted when a live session is on. This gives you an opportunity to ask questions directly to our guests, and as we will be doing today. Okay, so please press the follow button if you're watching on Facebook or on LinkedIn and Twitter. And if you're following or watching it on YouTube, then press the subscribe button and smash the bell icon. So you are getting all the feeds and all the videos in time. So finally, we have Rachna Gupta from Singapore. Rachna was recently acknowledged among the top 5 data science mentors in India. She has close to 9+ years of experience in the industry, primarily consulting Fortune 500 clients across the globe. Currently based out of Singapore, she continues to mentor aspirants and freelance with product and social impact companies. Outside of this space, she's a big foodie who actively promotes veganism. And let's do that, and let's bring her in and give her 2 seconds to talk about being vegan. So here we go. Hi, Rachna, how are you?
Hi, Shailendra. Thank you. This is an awesome experience. And thanks for having me on this show.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
Yep.
great to be here. And since you mentioned veganism, yeah, I mean, I've been in the industry, the analytics industry for a while, but I have been a vegetarian for all my life. But I started realizing that, health was a priority. I care for animals, I care for the society, the environment. I started going to the vegan side over the last 5 years. I won't say I'm 100% vegan, somewhere around 85% vegan, because I still have to make a lifestyle change, but it's brought about a huge change in my own life. Um, I've actually lost like close to 15 kilos of weight just being vegan and just following that diet. I mean, nothing else. So yeah, it has been very impactful in my life, and I'm just trying to promote it a lot more. Working with a few product companies in this space and a lot of animal shelter homes and all of that. Thank you for having me here.
Good
You
stuff.
should exchange recipes.
Yeah, I actually do have a blog where I post recipes and reviews.
Great. So if you can mention your blog details in the comment section afterwards, or if you want to do it now, I can put it on the screen. That's fine. More than happy to promote veganism along with you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, let's very quickly start the session. And I know it is midnight for Dr. Ballan, so we need to be quite quick and see what people want to hear from you three ladies of data science. So let's start with the processes. So when I started my career, and I say that in all the sessions, sorry, it was very hit and trial. Data science as a term was only came up a few years ago. But what I realized is that it was all hit and trial once upon a time. So what do you see in your place? Is that still hit and trial, or is it now structured? What do you see? Let's start with Dr. Meltem.
Yes, I hear this question all the time. It is supposed to be an easy one, but it's a very difficult one. So I started my career many months ago, 20 some years ago now. And when I first started, I started as an algorithm developer. Later on, I became a pattern recognition expert. And then I have seen AI winter, where I was in the AI department, and overnight we became computer vision department. And I am like, hey, what am I doing here? I should go back to academia and get something in, because this world is just very shaky. And then I went and got my degree in neuroscience, and then I came back, did a couple of things, and I'm now data scientist. I'm called data scientist. But when I try to nurture this field, it is still like very soft, and it is very vague term, and it includes a lot of different disciplines. And sometimes, since we are all coming from bigger companies and bigger corporates, sometimes it is very difficult in the federated environment to put somebody in the right position. So it is still a challenge, but we last couple of years, I think we started to build a good network that we accomplish at least peer-to-peer reviews and understanding of the top disciplines of data science. So we have a lot of long way to go, but still it is better than last year, and it will be better next year.
Of course, it will be. So, so you're saying that it's still hit and trial at some places, or is it structured processes that you see?
It is. I mean, it is very difficult, like, to say it is structured or not, because there are companies where they have a very strong data science discipline, and they have little COEs, different organizations that they concentrate on certain data science groups. But when it comes to where I am right now, GM is very good at collecting the customer data and providing insights to the customers with our own star. However, that's a different role. So it's in engineering terms, it's just zeros and ones. We started to get data in the form that we are looking at in the unstructured or structured form just a couple years back, and I started with this first Chief Data Analytics Officer. So this is very young for us, and our discipline, it is developing. And the way that we try to nurture this discipline is peer-to-peer review, and then not only promoting, but we are also promoting a lot of data engineering, because we are aware that most of the problems in data engineering sides of the business, the ETL, the ingestions, cleansing the data, we have a lot of, work there. And when it comes to analytics or the fun stuff, we only spend maybe 25% of the time. So we are hoping to have that structure within a couple of years. We came so far, but we still some way to go. And I used to be a consultant, and most companies started to implement the best practices. But there's still, like, you have analyst, you have business analytics person, and then data scientist. And it is very easy for you to tell, hey, these disciplines are different. But I think the training and being inclusive, we are coming to the maturation, but still there are a lot of moving parts.
Sure. Dr. Siddappa, what do you see? Do you see that the process is quite structured nowadays as far as data science is concerned? For example, and I'll give you a bit of background in that, do you see that it is that you're defining the objective first and then collecting the data and then building models around it, or and then trying to get an output, or is it still a hit and trial kind of an environment? I think we've lost Dr. Siddappa. Rachna, you want to take that up, please?
Sure. So I do believe we are a little more process oriented than we were, say, about 5 years back, with respect to problem definition, coming up with hypotheses. Most of the clients that I've worked with, they come up with a larger problem statement. You need to narrow it down to solve for a particular problem to get the right data and all of that. So we have come up with processes to reach that stage, even in terms of data cleansing, crunching, cleaning it up. We've understood certain things about it, certain aspects of it. But there is a whole, exploratory part of it in the data science field that we haven't yet ventured out into. A lot of companies are still, even the CXOs are still trying to figure out what their business is like, what they need to focus on, which problems they really need to solve. In that case, you can't really put in a process in place. You're kind of doing all the field work, research, you're going all over the place. The industry is moving towards AutoML, for example. So that part of it is, we can definitely say that it's more, streamlined. We have a structure, we have an algorithm in place. We're able to put in more, logical flows and algorithms with respect to the whole, analytics life cycle and end-to-end solutioning. So yeah, I think we are still exploring a lot of it, but with respect to problems we solved previously, like say a pricing problem or a campaign effectiveness problem, those things is something that we can put into an algorithm and we can put into an AutoML kind of a model.
Okay, so you're saying it's a mix of both.
Yes.
And depending upon what kind of problem you're trying to solve.
Right.
That's fairly put. But me coming from, I've actually flavored being in the consulting space and being in the corporate world, and I've looked at all the sides of it in the corporate world, and I think Dr. Meltem was saying that quite clearly, that you have a bit of unstructuredness there because you're not a consulting company and you need to be trying to deliver a lot of outcomes. and some outcomes you don't even know you're trying to deliver, and so forth. But when you look at a consulting company, it's a different approach that they follow, and they try to get a bit of structure to it, because when they go and talk to corporates, they want to actually explain to them what they're going to do in order to deliver a particular outcome. So I think there is a mix and match for both of them, both of the structuredness and unstructuredness there as well. Before I get to the next part of it and reach out to Dr. Sheela as well, I would like to ask my audience, what do you see in your part of the business? Do you see that there is unstructuredness in data science, or do you see that it is very, very structured? How do you approach it when you're working in your organization? Let me see if I've got Dr. Sheela, because there was a... Dr. Sheela, can I see you? Can you hear me? No. Dr. Sheela, can you hear me?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, but we can't see you. Okay.
While it's trying to just fix itself. Okay, if you can hear me out, I think that's we can get started here. So at Bosch,
Yes,
at least I've seen that different kinds of customers do walk in, where customers are there who would say either the fact that we have plenty of data but we do not know what to do about it, and there are also customers who would say that we know that we want to bring in AI into our business, but how do I make this happen because I do not have the data. Okay. So wide variety of flavors of customers that we have seen, and some of them are, of course, having a well-defined statement, a problem statement. So what we have seen through the process is that a process is something that we need to inculcate to make this happen. And so the way we start out is we start with a workshop, and the workshop is not that we have only a data science consultant in place. We also have the domain experts. We also have the technology experts, the IT people, and in fact, even the SAP ERP systems and all of these experts. And we also have a business person walking in. So when we have all of these people in the workshop, then it makes it so very wonderful that we don't look at it only from the perspective of a data science angle. We look at it from a holistic and a completeness side. And thereby, when we complete the workshop, which could be like a 2-3 days long to weeks long, we are in a position to kind of say what kind of problem statement can actually meet part of your KPIs. And thereby, once we also have a solution approach to give it to them, to saying, what does it take to do this, then it's kind of a consensus that we reach out, which is much more a win-win scenario for them and a customized solution for the customers. So thereby, after that, whatever comes is going to be mere implementation, bringing the solution in place, and so on. So what I would like to say is the process is so very neat and agile in the Bosch world that we look at that customer is the foremost importance, and we just don't look at it from an AI perspective. We look at it from a holistic angle, and I should say we collaborate at every single step within the complete process, whether it be implementation, testing, and even deployment, and then making sure in a routine basis they are actually consuming it. So I would say that process does not stand by itself, and every single bit of the structure, organization, the system should facilitate, and Bosch has actually facilitated that part of it. So thereby, we have ample amount of success stories. At the same time, we have not solved small problems, but also very innovative and bigger size problems to make this happen.
Okay, so that's very well explained. Actually, it is a kind of a consultative approach that you take, keeping customer in front and your customer being your prime consumer. It's not about It's not about data science, but it's about solving the problem. I think that's what you're saying. And I think that is what very successfully, if people take the approach of solving the problem, then getting data or finding data, then I think it is a very different way of solving the issue. And I think I've seen that as well in the past few years. One thing I want to ask all three of you is, what do you believe is in your industries and in where you're working, what do you see or what do you believe is a missing ingredient within the current approach that you see, that you think that if that was there, it would have made a huge difference? And I'm putting you all on the spot here. So think about something new, something that you actually would put in there, and that would make a huge difference to the process. What do you think? Should I start with Rachna this time around?
Sure. So I think the lack of scale is something. I have not seen it in every situation, but there are some problems, like I mentioned. We solve redundantly or we do it regularly. If we are not able to kind of knowledge shift or find one way of solving it, if it's a similar problem, that is like a gap I see, because then we're wasting time in trying to do the same thing repetitively. The other thing I feel is the mindset of productization. And with this whole thing, when we're solving similar problems, why don't we productize it so that people across even industries, for that matter, can use it and can scale it. There are some product companies coming up where they're working in a very niche way. They're trying to solve smaller problems, but why not kind of scale that whole solutioning? You can obviously grow, you can add more data, you can improve on the algorithms, the math behind it as well. But the whole concept of people getting together and productizing it is something that we haven't explored yet in this industry. I know we are still growing, we are figuring out, but I think we have to go towards that mindset.
Okay, so you're saying scale and also productization.
Yes.
These are the two things you think can make a huge difference. And I think, to your point, I can say that there are a couple of, or two or three, there are many projects, or there are many products that people have created, but I think we are slow in that space. I think we need to push it hard. For example, you've got the market mix modeling kind of a product available in the market. You've got the churn product in the market. You've got products, but they're in the areas where there is an end-to-end process. You know what you're trying to achieve. But I think the niche areas which have got a lot of benefits is still not there. What do you think, Dr. Meltem?
So I think I want to steal some stuff from Rachna and Sheela. So Sheela started with Agile. So Agile is very important in the sense, when we start the problem, sometimes we forget that this data is alive and every day data is everywhere. And the biggest problem is there, not the method that you're implementing, but the cleansing the data. And sometimes we just get so deep down that we would like to implement the best cutting edge AI, ML algorithm, but the Bayesian approach is the easiest. And the last point in that Agile approach, or data coming everywhere, the big data is just it's not the solution to the problem. So these are the four important points that over and over I see in my career. And the other one, when you look at it in the scaling, we talked about scaling, and I want to take it from Rachna there. I think with scaling and implementing, allocating that much cost in the process needs a lot of buyout and investment. So then you really need to make sure that the top-down and bottom-up visions are meeting and everybody is agreeing and most importantly, buying the same vision. So then the scaling is going to be the next step, and it will be easier.
Mhm. Okay. Dr. Sheela, I'm not sure whether you were hearing the conversation, but if you heard us, what do you see is the missing ingredient in your point of view that could make a huge difference to the data science processes?
Yeah, so according to me, what I see is that people are trying to solve problems which they see as a bottleneck or a pain
Mhm.
point at this instant of time. So what it means is like when you're trying to solve in silos,
Yep.
then you're actually creating another one, another bottleneck, much bigger
Yep.
in size maybe.
Mhm.
So what is happening is you are trying to nullify or reduce one, and you are creating another one, and all this
Yep.
is happening because you are solving one at a time and in one perspective. When I say one perspective, it is like people take in image data and give the solution right there. They take in text
Mhm.
data and they give the solution from the text data. What is not happening is looking at it in a much more realistic manner. In reality,
Yep.
what happens is data doesn't look like only images or only quant data or only text data. So it's a combination of this. And I take this pride moment to say that at Bosch, we have been taking problems and solutions not in one dimension. So that means we take the input data not only as an image, but text as well as sound and
Mhm.
quant, of course. And then the wonderful aspect of the technology today is that, or even the data science algorithms are such that even text eventually get converted into numbers,
Yep.
image gets converted into numbers, sound gets converted into numbers. So thereby finally we have a bunch of numbers together to solve the problem. When we have such a wonderful system around, I should say that we are making use of the system to finally take in all these numbers in place, which is a combination and kind of a 360-degree view. It's like a typical artificial intelligence. That means if there is a human being, he is receiving variety of data, and
Mhm.
then in his own normalized manner he is trying to analyze and bring a solution to it. And that's exactly what we are trying to do. I'm able to say that today we have also implemented one of the solutions at Norway for a company called Teeny, where we have taken the sound data, we have taken the domain information of how the agricultural steps really happen in the farm, and at the same time the history of the tasks people have performed in their field. So all these varieties of data into account to finally say how and what kind of a tasks are getting performed in the field. And we are not even taking images, so imagine, because of the weather conditions and so on. So in a very innovative manner we have been able to solve this problem. And I see that this holistic approach is kind of not very common in the market or in the field today. And this dramatic change or step has to be taken to make sure we are approaching the cell problems in a much more practical manner, rather than, okay, I can say it's a cat or a dog, or I can say it's a burger or a muffin.
Mhm.
So that doesn't really solve the complete aspect. So I'm glad and I'm so happy that Bosch has already made its first move, and around 900 different farmers in Norway have already installed this particular app, and the solution is being rolled out and consumed on a routine basis. So it takes pride to be the foremost in this area.
Yep, and I totally agree with you on that, because what happens is that if you build a very good model, a beautiful model, and everything is going hunky dory, and no one actually uses it, you feel quite sad. You feel that it is something that is we've spent so much of energy and money and time on it, and there is no one who's actually executing it. Before I get to the next question to the guys, all those people who are watching us, I request you to do two things. One is, please press the like button, and so that more and more people can view this episode and learn from these beautiful um, ladies of data science, and they learn as much work that they're doing in this space. And secondly, if you've got any question, please put that in the comment section, and I'm surely going to take that. and pose it to these girls. So the next question to you guys is there any example that you want to share where you thought that one of the two things, where you saw that there was a good ingredient that you thought was missing would have made a huge difference, and that particular thing was missing. For example, Rachna, you said the process was not scalable, and due to that, maybe a particular project didn't go as far as it would have gone, or you think that there is something that you've done differently, and that's made a huge difference to that particular process. Any examples that you want to share? Who wants to go first? Dr. Siddappa, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So one mega change I should say is that so when we take projects, it is not that we take a small ones which could be just done in a month or two. So typically they are like a 2 year long kind of projects where, for example, this was one of our customers in Turkey, a very big wheel manufacturing company, Maxion Wheels. So they look forward to Bosch to help them with the Industry 4.0. That means a complete makeover, I should say, to be able to incorporate the very advanced technology and the decision-making capability of AI into their system. So if we had only looked at it from that angle and approached, maybe we would not have been what we are today.
Yep.
So I could say in the last 1.5 years of journey with Maxi on Wheels, it's so amazing that a team actually comes together to make this happen. That means, say, if we start with, say, traceability kind of aspect, that means where exactly this kind of a raw material has moved in, what is the stage it is at, and so that we are able to discover what exactly is going on, and if there are any kind of issues or scraps rolling out, we should be in a position to actually trace it back. So I do not say that okay, it's the duty of the sensors team, it is the duty of the traceability team, and then we don't just back off. So what we do is we go there, work together, and make sure we are there for each other in terms of fixing the bugs or anything, rather than trying to do a dissection after the problem has occurred. So we take utmost precautions to make sure that every single aspect which is either data science aspect, the technology aspect, the cloud related infrastructure aspect, every single person more or less an expert would be there to collectively come out with a decision or a solution approach to make this happen. And today I should say, until the data actually walks in, there is not much of a role of a data science there, because only once the data has walked into us will we be able to do any kind of a solution. But in the process we have learned so much of the domain, and we are, I mean, even before the data could walk in, we are able to see ourselves why and what kind of aspects should we really have in our data to make this happen. So that means I should say, by the time we are actually in the verge of completing the project, we are more of a maxi on wheels than they I should say that way. So what I would say is the holistic nature, that's one thing. The collaborative nature that we bring in our solutions has made a wonderful difference. And we don't live at, okay, there is an issue, let the IT guy fix it. No, because we don't even know where the issue actually lies, and why is
Yep.
that the screen is not kind of coming up. So what I mean, everyone checks it in their own perspective, and then make sure the kind of bugs are fixed. So I should say that the step we have taken to make sure that we are there for each other has actually made a huge difference in working out such a humongous project. This is not like a project which we could do a complete makeover in a very short span or anything. There's a big team, and this kind of nature of working has helped every associate feel that they are part of this, and they know each and every segment of the things that are there. That gives us the feel of ownership, and that we are there to just solve it. Okay. That is a very positive attitude. Before, what used to happen is when, I should say even 8 or 10 years before, when we used to take a single silo kind of a project, a small state, very minor in nature, which is to be just mere visualization of the data in a wonderful manner. Then it used to be our own stuff, and then we have to just integrate into that. It used to be small in nature, but even there we used to see that, if we had worked together, we could have been much more successful. And that learning we have taken, and today we are doing wonders in many fields, in the healthcare field, in the agriculture, in the domain digital, and so on.
Okay, Dr. Meltem, what do you think? Any use case, any example you want to share?
Yes, Sheila shared a lot of good points, but I'm going to talk about the failure, the actual failure that I experienced. So if anybody checked my LinkedIn, they will see that I had quite a bit startup experience. One was my own startup, and there are three things. It was a big data platform for the researchers to share their results as well as their algorithms. We started this company back in 2010, 2011, and we were so sure that we were getting buy-ins. And what we learned with the time and money and the process, we got the exit plan. We didn't make a lot of money, but we didn't lose money as well. But the thing is that with the product that we tried to provide, we couldn't buy in. So there are three things. Right time. It was not the right time. Nobody was ready for the cloud. The second one was the lesson that we took was the right place. And the last one was the right solution. So we were not in right place. We were not in right time, and we didn't have the right solution for the market. So I always keep this lecture in mind because I'm doing similar stuff as the Chief Data Analytics Officer. We always have customers, internal or external, and we try to solve a big problem, which is some of you brought up smart city. We try to solve the traffic problem. We have a big initiative, 2 zeros, zero congestion, zero crashes, zero pollution. And we need to hit that line in 2034. And our projects go like sprint by sprint. And whatever we do each sprint, or whatever the problem we target, it has to be bought in. So I keep on that in mind. It's a big lesson for me that I always try to find the buy-in from the senior leader, that I can actually push for further couple more sprints, but I have to finish the sprint successfully, that I have a product to show. So this balance is so important. And I failed forward. I learned in hard way, but that's what the culture that we try to bring in. That's what the way that we approach the problems within my domain, because as I mentioned, we have customers and we cannot wait on those customers long time, because every day the market is changing. There are external and internal forces that we have to consider. For example, Tesla is one of our biggest watch, because they are bringing a lot of good technology. They are bringing a lot of challenge to us to solve, but it is also bringing us a lot of pressure to do it fast. And it is also very important, as I said, like which is the right decision to make, what project to take to the senior leadership desk, and then bring innovation to the company. So those are the things that I'm very careful about, because it is easy to fail.
Okay, so what do you think, Rachna? Anything you want to share? Any story?
Sure. So I think sometimes in this industry we forget the concept of MVP, and we are trying to chase the best algorithm, the best accuracy, and many a times because of that we lose a lot of time. And like Meltem mentioned, sometimes we have to deploy at the right time, in the right phase. Otherwise, we are going to get it's going to be late. It won't be consumed. I've seen that in one of our projects where first we were harping on the data being good, rich. There were some issues with the data. We could have skipped a little bit on the data set. We could have avoided adding it into our models, but our client was kind of harping on the fact that we need the best ideal model. So we need to have the best data. And that took us almost a year. Something we could have done probably in 6 months. We took a year to just fix. And post that, when we started building our algorithms, we took like another 6 months to get the best model, because the client was so specific about, we need this ideal model. It has to be like say 90 to 95% accurate and all of that. But sometimes an MVP works because anyway you're spending a lot of dollars on, say, a marketing activity. This particular exercise was for a personalization activity. So we could have done like a quick model. We could have deployed it, seen how it works. Anyway, no model is going to be 100% or even 90% accuracy is quite ideal in some way. In the real world, it's difficult to get that kind of accuracy. So instead of trying to get, and also the fact that there's so many papers being published, there's so much of jargon all around. So people are just trying to say, okay, I heard this, I read this, please add this model, try it, add this data set. It might just, give you the best results. But we have to sometimes stop and say, okay, let's get our results out. Let's see how it works, deploy it, actually consume it, and then see whether it's worth it. So I think that piece is something that is missing. And if we start doing that, we'll be able to churn results faster, consume more of data science than actually looking more, on the academic side of things than on the consumption side of things.
We cannot hear you, Shalandra.
Okay. Okay. I muted myself. What I wanted to say was, let's get to the next section, which is around skills. And I would like to start with you, Dr. Meltem, because you're in a different part of the world, and we here have seen a bit of a range for a data scientist skill set. I usually say that data science, when the term was brought into people's mind, a lot of people changed their titles to becoming data scientists, though they weren't. So, what do you see in your space? When people come to you for a job interview, what do you see? Do you see that they are data scientists, or they're just faking it? What do you see, and what kind of people do you meet?
I want to take it in a different angle. It is okay. So in today's world, we have job descriptions. I mean, it's like a department store. You have everything in the job description, and it is impossible for somebody to be that unicorn. So therefore, I mean, I feel like applicants feel like they have to fill the shoe, and within that department store, maybe I'm only interested in the shoe, but I also put like the coffee, the ground coffee in that description. And then that person actually is good at ground coffee, but edit the shoe department in their skill sets. And then I go back and then ask the question that what I'm needing, and then I start filling the gap. Mm-hmm. So then it puts the applicants in a very strange corner. But also, it is another angle of this question is the setting the expectations. So we hire, first class data scientists. Maybe we don't have first class, like we're talking today. Maybe we don't have the first class data problems yet, but we're gonna come there. So if we can add that expectations well, I think it will be easier for the candidates to be speaking out, telling where they can fill the gap and where they need some improvements. But it's, as I said, I see that what you're saying, I understand the question, and but I also see the problem on my end. I try to be very careful. I write job descriptions. I interview people in my current job, but sometimes I'm not in control. I help different people, and we don't even have systems within the company. Like, I want to just find something Delphi. I mean, most of the people are not even gonna know Delphi. They are so young. But if somebody 20 years old tells me they have 10 years of Delphi experience, if I put it in my job description, I have to believe them. But Delphi is neither here nor there anymore. So those are, I think, very important points to remember, to set both expectations, and then the interview process is just a process to get to know the person. I mean, I don't discredit person because of something that they edit in their resume, but they are not good. But it is also on me to train that person. And now the problem or the challenge is that, okay, everything is online. When I started, nothing was online. We had books. We had to pay for the software. Now everything is online. You can go Google everything and learn so quickly. So rather than looking at the talents and the skill sets, I try to look at the point that this person really is willing to learn. And I think in that scenario, it is important for a candidate to be candid and open about their strengths and weaknesses, and that department, maybe they are going to fit in that department store or not, but it will be better in the long run, to be honest, because they will figure out that sooner or later they will figure out what they know and what they don't know, so they will be miserable. So it's better to be happy than miserable. I understand the job market is weird, but again, sitting somewhere and trying to just find the next escape is not neither good for the company nor the person.
Absolutely, and that also brings a question to everyone, and I think that's a very good learning for people who are looking for a job at the starting of the career, that you should be willing to learn, and that is very important, as mentioned by Dr. Meltem. Rachna, what do you see when you interview people, or when you've seen people around in the data science space, when you meet, have a conversation with them? Do you see that they're not true data scientists, but they play with data, they're data wranglers possibly, or they put some reports together, and so they're calling themselves data scientists? What do you see? What have you seen in India and in Singapore? If you've met people, what do you see?
So, I mean, I can't categorize them. It's okay if they call themselves data scientists and they're doing basic math and just putting data together, doing some charts and reports. It's okay, because in my opinion, it depends on the problem statement. Really, you don't always have to put in complex algorithms, use the best tools or techniques. So definitely, with respect to skills, what we're looking at mainly is that you can do some basic math. You have an aptitude for learning, because technology evolves, tools evolve in this industry. Everybody's using different tool or tech in different companies. And you're also looking for the fact that they can unlearn and relearn, because the industry has moved so much even in the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, we moved from SAS to R to Python as a, say, coding space. But if you can like basically code, you can manage. It's just a language, it's just syntax. You can always pick it up on the fly. So I mean, the basic thing we need to look into a person is that that person can do some basic math, can synthesize data, be able to talk and find some insights out of it. That's okay. I mean, to go a step further in the consulting space, we do look at communication skills, presentation skills. But like Meltem mentioned, you can't find everything in one person. Sometimes some really good data scientists are really good with the algorithms and all the jargon, all the academia, all of that, but they probably can't really convert it into very relevant insights and share it with the client or do a very good presentation. But for that, you can always get your leadership or your other people who are good at it to kind of offset it. So it's okay. But yeah, we do press people, and even in India, most of the JDs have all these as a checkbox. Like they'll have like tens of tools that they wish a person knows, and then tons of techniques and all of that. But I don't really think that's a right way of looking at it, because it does get obsolete. It's not the same techniques we used 5 years back that we use today. So that person has to really be willing to learn. As a market, India is still growing. Yes, there are a lot of people who are coming into the whole data science space. So we are still looking for people who are more like business analysts in some way, and they can do all that kind of work, and we can always train them and upskill them. Obviously, it's the company's job to kind of upskill them and make sure that they are fit for either a client or the company and their needs, whether it's the tool, the processes, the technology, whatever. In Singapore, there is a little bit more maturity in the market with respect to analytics. There are more PhDs, more people who are qualified to do the whole data science part of things. But I worked with a lot of clients, so I can kind of safely say that most people, even though they would have their description as data scientists or whatever it is, everybody is mostly doing dashboarding and reporting. They're still trying to figure out their business. They're trying to figure out whether their numbers make sense or not and how they can convert it to revenue. So as long as people can kind of, work around this area, I think they're good to at least start in this space.
Okay. I'll make a point, but let's hear from Dr. Sheela as well before we get to some more details on the Dr. Sheela. What do you think? What do you see in when people come to you for a job? What do you see? What kind of people do you get?
Okay, so let me not repeat what Meltem and Rachna has spoken, because I kind of agree with them as well. That is more from a beginner's point of view, or even some 3 to 5 years experience. People would come with this kind of nature. We kind of tag them as tool jockey people, where they can only paste some code and then say, oh, there is some amazing result coming here, God knows what it is, right? So this kind of a people. Now, on the other hand, we also have, so of course we have to be cautioned about these kind of, people who are there in the market these days, but nevertheless, who are actually strong in data science. Let's look at the positive side of it, right? So who come with a very strong background and who are able to solve these problems. One lacuna in the skill that we are actually facing is the business mindset. So now, say for example, somebody is really good in text mining, then any given problem you give it to them, they kind of look at it from a text mining perspective. Or if somebody is good in image perspective, right? So then they will try to somehow solve the problem using images. They kind of see in that angle only. Now, what we need to make sure is these people, while they have a specialization area, but from a business side, they have to look at it from an angle which is beyond that. That means don't force fit because you know this. Okay, you need to see how how is it going to be much more robust and a flexible solution and a positive aspect for the customer in hand? I mean, it doesn't matter who works on it, right? So don't be like a selfish thing that, I want to back this project, I want to get this name, and thereby I'm going to give this as an image processing solution, right? That should not be the scenario. It should be like, okay, I think maybe a sensor based kind of a solution is much better off. So I would rather refer it to another person who can actually do a better job on this. That's one side of the story. Second is, if they can see and speak the language of a business, right? That means, why do they need this? Okay, what's the whole point of this solution? Do I make this complex only because I have a PhD and make 2 pages of equations out there? Not really the case, right? Yeah, don't try to bring in too much of academia when you're trying to bring in the routine practical implementation of things. So the concept should be to see how do you make this much more scalable and robust in the next 5 years. So people should think about your name and saying, what a wonderful solution, today we are able to use it day in and day out, right? So that should be the approach. It could be simple, it could be complex, but do it only because there is a need for it and not because only to demonstrate what you are. So what I'm seeing is, one is that kind of a psychology behind, and second is the business side of it. That means if you think neutral, that business needs it and that's why I will do this, that kind of approach is not there. When people are giving presentations and talking about this, they talk in terms of alpha, beta, p value, r square, and all of these. You know, the CXOs, God knows what they understand by all of this, right? So they have to be in a position to articulate it back into the language of saying that, from 10 resources, we are now able to move it to 3 resources, and that's going to happen because of dot dot dot, right? So that kind of an articulation is still missing in the so-called genius data scientist. So people who are mature have to mature more in another angle, and people who are trying to bluff have to start getting a little genuine, because we as human beings, if not artificial intelligence, are smart enough to discover them. So so thereby there is a lot more scope to grow, a lot more aspects to consider. um, and I see the future is going to actually demand the completeness of people, and only they can be differentiators and be recognized in the world.
Yep.
I
So,
have one last point there, because we always have challenges with, for Rahna, it could be different, but in the big corporates, you have business analysts and different kind of analysts that with the technology changing, we need to repurpose them. And to Sheila's point, sometimes we feel like um, they don't want to share because they don't want to be seen as they don't know the technology.
yep.
And in my solutions, I try peer-to-peer matching and peer-to-peer work. So I just try to take that loneliness out of the work. But I'm wondering, so how it works in other settings. So I took the question, but I just really genuinely wondering how you're solving that purposing.
So, anyone wants to answer that question?
Let's say you have a business analyst and then your technology changed and that person is feeling left behind, and you need to purpose that person. Do you have that challenge in that part of the world as well?
Well, at least in our side, we do not see so much of a challenge there, because we don't pinhole and say, you are the person, you better speak, and I don't know ABC of that, right? So we do not step back there. So we go as a team, and there are people to explain it in the angle of a domain, why this is happening. There are people to explain it in terms of the mathematics that goes behind. So what I would say is that, if we allow one person to be a hero or a heroine, that's when it kind of becomes a little challenging. Because when there are many brains put together, then they are able to go into the intuition behind why this kind of an inference is coming out, or why this root cause. And like, one of my advisors used to say that, higher education is like getting confused at a much higher level, right? So when we have many people, so we get confused at that degree, to an extent that we finally discover what is the root cause, or where exactly this would have been, and being able to articulate and explain to the customer why this is happening. If we are able to solve, well and good. If we are not able to solve, okay, here it is for you, and this is the reason behind that. So if we at least diagnose it well and give it to them, they will be able to take this up. Now, if one of the person is not able to explain things, or they are not able to explain in a manner intentionally, or because of a lacuna in them, then we don't leave it only to that individual, because he or she is not the only person who has worked on it. And we try to give it in an intuition angle rather than only from a mathematics angle of it.
Sure. Hopefully, Dr. Meltem, you got the answer.
Yeah.
My view on this is a bit on the other side. What as Rachna mentioned, that you've got people who've got some data experience, some people who've got statistics experience, and then you've got people with communication skills. The problem is that as a data scientist, we are expecting one person to have all of that, and that person does not exist. It is for sure that a guy who's very good at statistics may not be very good at pulling data from people, from places, and maybe the person who's very good at pulling data is not very good at communicating it back to the business. So you may need 3 or 4 different set of people who've got different skill sets, so that they can actually not only take that to the not only do a very good job with the modeling aspect, get the right data set, but also communicate with the organization in a fashion so that it can be executed going forward. Because if it is not executed, the chances are that you've built something that's going to be used thereafter. I think, to your point, Dr. Sheela, it is a teamwork, and it needs to be taken it in that fashion. And we don't go in and say, "Oh, we're building a model, and this is the hero who's built the model, and this is the guy." Well, I don't care about people who are pulling data, and I don't know who's going to be communicating it with the business. I think that needs to be pulled together as well, and that's important. Do you think so?
Definitely.
Okay.
The
Yep.
nature of our projects is, I think, a little different because, as I mentioned, we get the data from the vehicles, and then we take this data, and our engineers, we have 2 kinds of engineers. One is the engineer who understands the part of the vehicle. That person sends the signals to another engineer who actually deals with the cleansing and ETLing of the data. Then we have a group of data scientists and visualization specialists working on the projects, and application developers. On the other hand, they actually keep feeding these guys with the repositories, the libraries, the models, and also we try to build the communication mechanism, having a lead data scientist understanding the needs down there, and then can communicate that, because I think the communication drop happens in that field, where if you don't have a data scientist understanding the business team, the SME, project managers, the strategist, then you will have a little cycle that you will turn around and turn around and turn around, and you will never find that point that you need to stop. So that's why I think these teams are really essential. I mean, at the end of the day, you really need to have these four people. One data scientist, somebody who can visualize. Maybe data scientists can do it, but it's arguable. And an application developer and a data engineer. So I think that's how you can find a balanced dynamic, and you can meet your business need.
Okay. One question that comes to mind, and I think that question comes in because lots of people, lots of budding data scientists actually watch this series and these shows. So if I was to ask you one question around what do you advise the budding data scientists to focus on to be successful in data science? Should they be focusing on coding, processes, outcome, business domain knowledge? What do you think if you were to pick one thing, or if you were to summarize it, where do you think they should focus on? And I would start with Dr. Siddappa this time.
Okay, so you see, as a human being, we have to take one step at a time. If we say that a child in their teenage, as young as they are, 18, 19, and they have to look at it from an all perspective, they might just run away. I don't want even data science. Who the hell wants all this business, this, that? It's not in my caliber. They have to pick a focus area, of course. Now, once they pick a focus area, the next would be to see, of course, not having any other knowledge would be, would be a bad thing. Today, everyone takes pride of saying that, I know the algorithms and I'm a data scientist. That's always
Yep.
there. But so if they pick, want to be a data scientist, that does not mean they have to step back from any other fields. So slowly, once they have had at least some amount of ground or hold on the data science, they should slowly learn how they should work with the big data engineers and the architects, because whatever, so the input from the data science is going to get integrated into the big data technology stack. So they have to be making sure the algorithm that they're going to feed is in such a nice, wonderful manner that it just seamlessly fits into the technology stacks of the big data. And they should be also in a position to understand the do's and do not do's, so that they are the true essence of what they are. Then it comes to the matter of, okay, this is the complete solution. They should be able to look at it from a big picture perspective. Why did I even do the solution? Finally, if somebody is using it, well and good. But looks like whatever we did was nice to have, but it is not really working. If I sit back and think, maybe I myself will not use this app. Okay, so that should not be the thing. So they should start looking at it from a bigger perspective. And then comes the angle of the business side. So a person can only get mature enough in a stage by stage manner to be able to appreciate the other side of it. Otherwise, they will just learn all these courses like a theory and get some marks out of it. So that's what it's going to land up otherwise in. So what I would say is, take one step. Do not leave your focus area. At the same time, know that know all your neighbors whom you will be working together in making your product or a solution workable for you. And that complete view is very much essential, so that next time when you're designing your algorithm, you would have thought through. Because say, for example, you have written a Python code, and you know that for edge computing you actually need a C programming because it's much more faster and efficient than a Python programming. Then you will appreciate. Otherwise you would be like, why do I even go ahead and learn C? No, I'm not interested in that, right? So you will appreciate and know the need for a C programming only when you know what are the lacuness it is facing in the different kinds of technology, whether it's a edge computing or a cloud based or something like that, right? So be that complete person, but don't try to be that complete person in one go, because that's going to be really, really tough. To go in steps is what I would say.
Okay. What do you think, Rachna?
I agree with Dr. Sheela for most part of it. I do think that if somebody has like an interest in basic math, like I'd mentioned earlier, and also design thinking, just generally, being able to build over things, I think they can. It's a good start in this space. You can always learn new technology tool and all of that. So, and like she mentioned, once you get a problem, you get your hands dirty. That's when you realize that why you need it. Why do I go to a cloud environment? Why can't I do it in an Excel spreadsheet? Um, can I get the results formula based, or should I put it into a Python code, or should I actually productize it or put it on the web? I mean, all these different solutions will come once you think of what the outcome is, what you're trying to achieve, how you're going to do it, and you can always learn on the way.
Mhm.
I don't
Okay.
think one secret sauce or one secret recipe to this.
What is your advice to the beginners, Dr. Meltem?
Um, Almost everything is covered, but I'm gonna start with something that in my opinion, data scientist doesn't need is an expertise in a vertical. I mean, that's good, but it is not necessary. And putting everything outside, we talked about little bit data engineering, the software developers, API developers. I want to take the data science or the data business in 5 groups. So you have business analyst, data analyst, advanced data analyst, data scientist, and lead data scientist. And depending on what they want, for example, if they want to enter as a business analyst, they just need to have some domain expertise and some basic data experience, like how to do the descriptive analytics, everything that we can do within Excel. If you want to be a data analyst, you need to at least have some basics of the STEM education, domain experience, of course, on top of Excel, some SQL. I mean, we discredit Excel, but Excel, I think, is still a very powerful tool. And some basic experience in forecasting, basic modeling, and some technical depth on SQLing might be important for a data analyst. And when it comes to advanced data analyst and data scientist, the difference becomes very thin, and sometimes it is not even there. It's just interchangeable. I mean, there we look at the advanced degree in STEM, some depth in programming like R, Python, SAS, SQL, kind of one of these. And understanding how to explore the data is important, even before you start doing advanced analytics. Some scientific methods, without just jumping on the fancy techniques and the basic Bayesian scientific approach. Um, having some communication skill starts becoming more important, and being able to lead, being able to motivate, communication, how you can actually communicate to somebody who's not technical, and then take that insight and bring back to the technical groups become important. And when you become a lead data scientist, it becomes a little more complicated. So you need to have both worlds. You need to be able to understand how to hire somebody, how to mentor somebody, how to conduct career planning, because you need to have this pipeline going on and evolving. So depending on where they are at in their career, let's say they are 10 years in their career, they are engineers, they can start with advanced data analyst career or data scientist career. But the point is that where is the passion? So if you take that passion, combine with your strength, and then start filling the gap, I think you will be happy wherever you go. They will be happy with you as well.
Okay. Before I get to the next section, I just wanted to share with everyone Rachna's various platform, various links. So, Rachna, do you want to discuss that with people just very quickly?
So as we discussed initially, that I am a promoter of veganism. I follow and promote it actively, and I do share recipes and reviews of vegan products, vegan food, restaurants in Singapore, India. I eat out a lot, so if you want to look for options, you can check out my handle in any of these pages on Instagram, FB, Zomato, or a Billion Veg. Billion Veg actually focuses only on vegan products, food and products, daily products. So yeah, it's a good platform. And yeah, you can follow me. And if you have any queries, you want me to put a particular recipe, I'll be happy to share it with you, because I actively experiment and I cook a lot. So I'll be happy to share it. Thank you. Thanks, Shailendra.
Good stuff. Okay. Now, the final section from me, and that is about success stories. So, this is around any success story that you think has made a difference to the world, or monetarily or socially, where you were involved, or if you were not involved, but you've seen and you want to share with the audience. Because I always say a good success story actually drives the benefit for that particular stream. For example, I don't think data mining would have been popular if there was no nappy and bear story. That was one story that made data mining very popular. So tell us a story that you think could make a difference for data science industry. If you were involved in it, even better. If you weren't, doesn't matter. Over to you guys. So I will start with Dr. Meltem first this time.
Yes. So, how I became a data scientist, it's an interesting question, but I don't know whether you know Mission Impossible. I used to watch Mission Impossible all the time, and I'm talking about 80s. And they used to have those fingerprint technologies, and I told my parents, "Hey, I want to be a fingerprint expert," so I did. Biggest still up to now, the biggest success is one of the articles that we wrote on fingerprint recognition in 90s, and then we brought up this algorithm called clipping, which nobody else used before. It's so basic, thresholding. If you're in a image program, you understand it. Take the colors between 0 and 255, and then find the threshold value. And if the number is below the threshold, you change it to 0. Above threshold, leave it there, leave it as is. So it creates you a fuzzy approach. It was like a so simple Bayesian approach when I was an undergrad student. We got a lot of interest in this. And I think up to now, if you Google me, that article comes up first. And that made me a data scientist 20 years later, more than 20 years later now. I'm data scientist because of that particular article and Mission Impossible.
Very interesting. Okay, Rachna.
Okay, I can talk about. So we had this one client who just said, I have like 10 years of weather data, which is captured probably every minute. And what can I do with it? So we were like, yeah, you could monetize it. But it's a very interesting solution because definitely you can use weather data. You can just sell it to a lot of clients, CPG, FMCG, everybody can use it because, it's an essential part of model building. It's great to have. But for us, the experience was very different. I was leading that team where we built this product out of it. I mean, we just used weather data to create weather-based ads, which could be shown on all kinds of platforms, whether it's social media or their own weather apps. And a lot of people, not so much in India, but probably in the US and Europe regions and even in Singapore, they actually check their app and they check the weather forecast before stepping out because it drastically changes. And we were able to show these weather triggered ads and actually increase their revenue and sales of their products for a lot of other clients, for a lot of their retailers. So that whole project was like it was very revolutionary in the sense that when we started off, the clients had no know-how of analytics as a space. They just said, you have data, do something about it, monetize it if you can. So we started it in Excel. We just built a lot of macros, ran some numbers, and we tried to tell them, okay, you'll get an X% increase, incremental sales, dollar figure, there's so much for this change in weather condition, and they were pretty excited about it. But there were so many aspects to it. One was the technology aspect. We moved from Excel to in those days we used to use SAS, then we moved to R, and then to Python. So that whole change, and then the data we used to bring it down into our systems, put it into Excel, and run it. We used distributed computing in a very layman's way, in the sense the whole team used all the laptops. Each one had Excel sheets open with macros running, and then we moved all that into the cloud. So we went into cloud computing. So the whole the whole evolution of that project, from being something so basic, being an MVP in the beginning, to being a big product. Today it runs as programmatic ads and generating thousands of dollars of revenue every day, actually, for the clients, is like something I'm really proud about, and a huge success story for us.
I was smiling because I usually say to people, people don't buy umbrellas because it is raining. People buy umbrella because it is going to rain, and
Yeah.
and that is a huge thing. And if you can't, if you can predict in advance that it's going to rain, then you will sell a lot of umbrellas. But I go out, see it's raining. I'm not going to run to the grocery to get the umbrella. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. You're absolutely right. Dr. Siddappa, what do you think? Any success story that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, sure. So this is the era, pretty much everyone wants to bring in predictive maintenance in place.
Yep.
There are equipments in healthcare to machinery. So the moment we hear about this and the wonderful Internet of, so what we see, the typical solution people have is mount some sensors. You look at the device, you mount some 10, 15 sensors, and immediately you can get the data to the cloud, and then you start seeing some wonderful dashboards, right?
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
I wouldn't be surprised if one day will come when you search the equipment, there will be only sensors all around it. Okay, so that should not be the scenario. So what
mhm,
we have done to kind of overcome this, at the same time, make sure that we are meeting the perspective. Like this whole concept of digital twin is just to make sure the equipment we are talking about is kind of available 24/7. Okay, in
mhm,
order to do that, I need not have to cover the whole equipment with sensors. It's like decorating the equipment with sensors all through. We
mhm,
believe a non-intrusive mode of uh, working, so that we do not disturb the equipments. Otherwise it will be like we only need some advanced kind of machinery. If it's a very legacy kind of a machine, maybe it doesn't work, right? So we don't want that kind of an approach. So we
mhm,
have developed a device which is called as Phantom. uh, and this is kind of known in the market, at least here in India, and we have actually sold it in some other countries as well. So
mhm,
what this does is actually it comes with a non-intrusive approach. That means we can just like clamp it, or just we pin our hairs, right?
mhm,
Hook it on wires that get connected to the machinery, and that's it. So all it does is it takes the energy signal. Okay. So you might be wondering, what is she going to do with these energy signals, right? So that's where our AI skills come in place. So what we
mhm,
did is, at those energy signals, we went on to not only start and say that whether the machine is up and running, idle, off, and so on, to saying whether it is producing parts and how many parts are actually getting produced, right?
mhm,
So sometimes we could also see there are some pilferages and those things, right? So now with this concept, we are able to say precisely how many parts were getting done at any instant of time, and the total count is also available. Okay, next step, we went on to say that when the part is used, is there a possibility that this is a scrap product?
mhm,
Is there a
mhm,
possibility of a dent being there or a crack being there? So we never realized to begin with, when we started the project, that just by the signals energy, we will be able to go all to identifying any kind of a scrap that can come out of it. But we were able to go to that to be able to say that yes, there is a scrap. So there's a high likelihood the product come out now is going to be a scrap one.
mhm,
um, then we went to the next step. basically we came from the predictive maintenance, right? So we went to that, and we were able to say whether the machine is performing to its level
Yep.
or in the right manner. Okay? So if the energy level deviates from the normal signature, we were able to say that either it is consuming too much energy for the same task or not, and thereby it calls in for an please take care. Okay. So to level we were, and then we realized that we are not giving this level of information just 1 minute before or 2 minutes before. We were able to give this information quite a few hours, or depending on the mission, differently spanned, so that actions could actually be taken. It's not that okay, it's already going wrong and then I say it's going wrong. It doesn't really quite help that much from a predictive perspective, right? So we were few minutes or hours in advance that actually the technician could come and see and kind of fix what the issues could be, and actually bring down the non-productive hours dramatically. So what I would say, if we think in an angle which is quite different, and and make sure that convenient to human do. So in this way, we were able to kind of resolve some of the quality aspect, predictive maintenance aspects, the count, the parts produced aspects, and so on. So the journey can continue. So what I would say is, when we are designing something, we don't look at it as one outcome. There could be many byproducts that would come, positive byproducts that we need to consume and then explore more. And that's one of our success stories as well. I mean, there are many more products even in the healthcare that we have done, but I do understand and respect the time for everybody there. So say is that our innovative thinking has actually brought us to a stage that we do not think at the pace that is currently going on, or trying to hit the competition. We want to think in a dimension which is different, at the same time convenient and comfortable for people to use. So and ask me what is data science, it's more about additional comfort and convenience, because life went on even 100 years back, and it's going on even now, right? So but the future, but the amount of comfort we are living in is, well, it was certainly not there 100 years before, and what I see in the future is going to be much comfortable. Everything probably just goes by the mere look, you never know. Right? So yes, so these are some of our success stories, and I did mention on the services side before, so I just gave a product example here.
Okay, that is a good one. I usually ask this question. We've talked about the use cases and success stories, but because I've got three great minds here, I would not let you go without asking this one question: How can data science help in the COVID-19 scenario? Be creative. Think outside of the box. Anything you think should be out there and is not there, this is your time. Please tell me.
Okay, so I'm a guest who gets so comfortable. Another question. Can I answer another question? I'm seeing another question. I promise I will answer your question too. So, I mean, COVID-19 is a situation that we were not ready. And within our capacity, have been doing some activities, exploring the data, trying to understand the safety perspective of our drivers' behavior, where we can actually help them. However, it is just in the beginning that we are collecting this data. I think as a data scientist, our thoughts are first with people around the world, affecting in so many ways by pandemic. And as a member of GM, we try to respond to them, watching their behavior, providing them some extra cushion, building medical equipment. We're building medical equipment at GM, and mask. I mean, in the longer term, I think we will be safe to talk about AI and its role, but you can see right now we are not 100% sure where the things are really located, and how it is happening in the geospatial domain, what kind of behaviors have been exhibited. Those are the experiences that we are collecting. I think if you ask this question next year, I'll have a better answer. But there is one thing. I mean, I think Nazaren pointed out the question about the ethics. I think the extent of this COVID-19 is bringing us to that ground, and it is ethics are close to my core, because I used to teach ethics at the University UNC, Chapel Hill, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Everything in my current job starts with that. We get the consent from our drivers, and then we provide them safety and comfort related data products. That part is the legal part of it, but the ethics is the other aspect that we are trying to fill in the gap. What kind of data you can use, how you can save this data, how you can certify it. We try to do, I brought up the peer-to-peer in different aspects, but we try to do the peer-to-peer work. Even with the COVID-19, we match people to look at the data to bring up the what we are seeing, because it's weak signals that we are getting. It might be wrong. So it's all in all together, it's really bringing us to this new role that we didn't know a lot about. COVID-19, we were not ready. We were just learning about the AI ethics. You know, can I ask my car to buy me milk? So my home fridge calls my car saying, hey, car, your person is running out of milk. Stop and get milk. So is that ethical? We don't know yet. So how far it is gonna go. But it is now, I think, more emerging with the COVID-19 that we started to talk about it.
Okay.
I told you, I'm a guest that I get so comfortable and I answer my own question.
So, Dr. Siddappa, what do you think? How can data science help in the COVID-19 scenario?
Okay, good. So while forget of artificial intelligence, natural intelligence itself, is going in place, right? So significantly, every part of the world, people are trying to find a vaccine for this. That is one side of the story. They are also trying to see how we can mitigate the spread. So I will not enter into that side of the story. Okay, let me get into the typical business we are into. The business has kind of hampered a lot, right? So the demand, so the whole concept of supply demand matching has become heavy, and most of the companies are actually in trouble because of this. Okay, while the mitigation part of it is kind of going on, let me see. I mean, if we think through how data science can actually help these companies like a retailer or a manufacturing sector or any of these. So one is to be able to dynamic, and I mean the dynamicity in the change, because you never know, one fine day there is a vaccine, and then this the next moment maybe we can just forget that COVID even existed, probably, right? So we should be in a position to adapt ourselves to with COVID and without COVID as well. So that means every system that is there, whether it is the ordering system, the stocking up system, the inventory system, the production, the people, machinery, etc., all this have to get so flexible. And in order to do that, we should be in a position to adapt ourselves like that. That means our algorithms should be able to first receive the data from these multiple dimensions to say, okay, these are the aspects, this is the pace at which either COVID is growing or going down, and thereby this is how it should. So this is the demand tomorrow, and this much is how much you must produce, and kind of bring in optimization that thereby we do not have either too much of penalized aspects in our scenario, or have piled up too much of inventory and then you don't know what to do about it, especially when your products are like milk and other aspects, right? Perishable goods. So I should say, our algorithms should be able to incorporate and give this quote unquote real time kind of a messenger to our systems, that we should be in a position to quickly adapt to those changes. So that is the need of the hour. Because today it is COVID, tomorrow maybe not a health scenario, maybe some other natural case could come in place, and then we might be all shocked and panicking. To panic is one side of the story, but there should be a way where we calmly think, and we should be so strong, and that strong our confidence in our will remain, provided our systems are so robust that don't worry, this is a natural calamity, okay, fine, I can take care of it, and this is how I can take care of it, right? So that is where we need to start investing a little more time and effort.
Rachna, what do you think?
And in addition to what Dr. Meltem and Dr. Sheela mentioned, I think the other part is that we are going into the whole digital space so much faster, uh, which is a very interesting thing. A lot of countries, especially like India, I think it's been so rapid, so quick, and we're getting so much more data. We are understanding customers so much more because so many people have gone online now. There are many more users now than there were before. So I think the world is also moving towards personalization because of all of this. People are not stepping out as much. Our models will get better in some way, in the sense at least we'll understand the real needs, their sentiment, all of those things. So that is another layer, I think, that data science can help with in this phase. We can, especially with respect to CPG and retail, like we have seen them doing really well in this phase, and now we know what people really want, what they might need. Obviously they're over purchasing and all of that, but at least we can understand uh, what they're looking for in a more data structured manner, which wasn't really the case. At least we are going into, like, say, tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which was difficult initially, and we have more data now from those sides as well. Outside of that, I think it's keeping us, the whole, like all fake news, deep fake, all of that, it's keeping us busy. We have to get rid of it. We have to make sure that we aren't following any news just the way it comes. A lot of WhatsApp forwards and all of that. So, yeah, that data science is helping to clean up that space as well. It'll take some time, but at least we are working towards it.
Well, actually, you've got a very valid point. Actually, there was a joke going around which said, "Who's the key driver of digital transformation in the organization? Is it the CIO, the CTO, or COVID-19?" So I think it was very well said. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Let me very quickly go to the questions from the audience, and let's get going. And I know, Dr. Meltem, it's around about 2 now at your place. So very quickly I'll run through. Parul Palli said hello. Hi Parul, how are you? He said hello to all of you. Rahul Sam said hello. Hello sir. Hi Rahul, how are you? Darshan MU said hi. Hi Darshan, how are you? Okay, there's a question from Zayed Zishan Nehri. Hi Zayed, how are you? And Zayed says, what is the future technology after pandemic? So after the pandemic, what is the future of data science? Anyone wants to take that up?
I think one field that I see is the healthcare. Health sciences. I want to separate it. Healthcare had some. In US at least, in the healthcare, there's a hit, but the health technologies and the health science, those are two verticals developing. And the other one, I think, we all know the technology, Those are the technologies that are really the sustainable energy, of course. EV is one subgroup. So those are the technologies that are coming up, and I think those should be in everybody's radar, because since we brought the world in a situation that we cannot take it back, we will have a lot of natural diseases, natural disasters, the diseases. So the health sciences are going to go from here. I guess those are the two main things that I can think about. Technology-wise, if he's asking about the tool, that changes, so that will change every day, and I don't know. Just I'm afraid that I will be obsolete.
Okay, Dr. Siddappa, do you think? What do you think is the future after the pandemic?
Well, H1N1 came, went, COVID came, it will go. Something else will come, that will also go. But so the way I look at it is technology. Okay, if not technology, right? So before we used to be as beautiful as we look, and now we come with a mask, so we pretty much don't differentiate between people, except for men and women. That's pretty much the difference, right? Everyone look alike with their eyes. When it comes to the technology, see, whatever thought process are there, it will continue, right? So if somebody is trying to have their own business in this area, that will continue. At the max, there could be some alerts, some warnings. I think the world will get immune to such pandemics soon, and they will run away. Technology would also be growing if there was no COVID also, right? Technology would have had its own path to grow, maybe much faster path to grow, because now it is taking a deviation, okay, and trying to add additional things into it to grow. So technology will grow in its space, grow in the space where it is actually need of the hour. Like for example, no matter what pandemic comes, people have to feed themselves,
Yep.
animals have to feed themselves. So in such areas, at least we see that whatever technology can do will do. And to think too much of a future, even we do not know. We have to sit and speculate. At least I have to speculate what could be the upcoming thing, right? But nevertheless, the trend is a very upward growing trend, and these things will become history soon in terms of pandemic. And the world, I should say, is getting a learning that no matter what comes in the future, we are there to face it. When we can face COVID, we can face anything else. Yes,
Okay.
that strong mentality is coming in place.
Rachna, do you want to add something to that?
I just think that we are moving towards faster innovation because of the pandemic. There's definitely going to be a lot of innovation. It would have been probably a slightly slower pace initially, but thanks to the pandemic, and I think the duration of it and the uncertainty might drive more innovation, more creative ideas. Like for example, the real estate industry. Now people are not really stepping out and going and checking out homes when they want to move out. They're doing video, and there are different new other solutions that they're coming up with. Banking has moved pretty much completely digital. And I think similarly, a lot of the other spaces will go a lot more digital. There'll be more creative solutions to it. Like online clothing companies, for example, they've gone online, but now I don't think people want to try out clothes. So some of them are coming up with this app based, you can try out clothes on an app. You can see how it looks on you. Those kind of things, it's becoming more creative, more innovative. So I think, yes, technology is moving that way. It's good. I think it'll make us more creative. We'll ideate a lot more in this space.
Okay. Next question is on Twitter from Nazreen E, and she says, "Great show. Thank you, Nazreen. First of all, how are you doing, Nazreen?" And she says, "How can we start talking more easily about data science in relation to AI ethics?" And I think that's more close to your heart, Dr. Meltem.
I answered a little bit, but as I said, we are really in the beginning, and we started to few little groups that we discuss about the ethics. So there, one important question that we started to ask is that where the technology serves the human. So how we can separate the technology starting to take over, and then that service and improving the life changes. That's one of the big questions. And the secondly, we talk about the autonomous cars. So autonomous cars are going to be on the street, but when and how, what is needed to be done, those are still up in the air. So therefore, I think we need more maturity to talk about like what algorithm to use, whether the algorithm is acceptable, who is willing to share their data. Those are the conversations have been discussed in corporates. Gartner has a big group, and Gartner is a big push for everybody to put their head together. In United States, MIT, Stanford has big organizations, so we get feedbacks. And I also mentioned that we closely follow the consent part of the thing. We check each other. It's on everybody. I mean, it's solving this problem. The ethics problem is kind of raising a child. You cannot raise a child by yourself. It takes a village to raise a child. And solving the ethics question is a question for a village, not for only us data scientists, but also the legislators, the lawyers. It's a big group of professionals interchanging ideas.
Okay. Anyone else wants to take that? I move on. Okay, I move on.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to quickly add a point. I think right now the data science space is that phase where we're trying to collect more data, trying to figure it out. So it'll take some time, I think, to reach that phase where we start discussing privacy, security, ethics, because our data is being captured like in every form, in every way. You step out, cameras are capturing your movement. People know where you're going, what you're doing, what you're purchasing, what your lifestyle is. Everything is available today. So right now, most companies are focused on getting the data right, putting it in the right platform, the tech stack, all of that, and then probably, we'll add that layer of security and privacy and all of that.
I think it also depends on where you are. So in Europe, the rules are so strict.
Mhm.
And United States, Canada has its own rules, and it is very restricted for us people. HIPAA is the other ends of it in healthcare, that we have to consider all those rules, and we have to be certified even to touch the data. So we encrypt and decrypt this data. So as a data scientist, you cannot see lat long in our case and mean number together. We cannot put those together in one database. We cannot go use public cloud, so we have to have private clouds. The privacy puzzle part of the privacy in US and I think in Europe have been studied more, and the locks have been put in place. Maybe they're still growing. It's not 100% mature yet, but the ethics part is still very like a little baby. So we need to really hash a little further. But the privacy, I think, is very important that we have to practice every day.
Absolutely. I think Nazarene, she said, great team, great thanks team. Appreciate your taking my question. I'm an AI ethics officer in South Africa. Thank you for that comment, Nazreen. Thank you very much. One more thing, I did a full-blown episode of on AI and ethics, which is available on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. So if you want to watch that, or even if you can just ping me, I will send you the link to the episode. It was full blown AI and ethics for I think 1.5 hours with some good questions. So maybe of interest to you. Okay. Last question before we jump on, and I know it is 2 o'clock in the morning for Dr. Meltem, and thank you very much for staying for that long. This is
I'll
from
just go for a run, keep me up here, so I'll just run and start the day.
There is a question from Sambal Nakvi. Hi Sambal, how are you? He says, data science in COVID, can there be a way out where thousands are dying not because of lack of medicine, but because of lack of food in this pandemic? So that a government and people help find the way out for proper economic analysis, make more humanitarian decisions than random lockdown, etc. And availability of online dashboard of ground reality. I think it's a comment, but if anyone wants to add anything to it, you're more than
I have a quick addition, I guess. There's a great platform. Kaggle has some COVID-19 challenges. So maybe it will help you to go be active symbol, and then have some understanding. I have seen some socioeconomic studies. There are a lot of studies to understand the root cause of COVID. Maybe you want to go check, but I know it's a statement, but you can help with as much as you can in that problem.
okay. Dr. Siddappa, do you want to add something to that?
Well, measures could be both legal and so what needs to be done is a kind of a difficult scenario. I think government is also making every step possible just to make sure we reduce the lockdown, just so that every other business or every other routine kind of activities are not kind of hampered there. It's true that it's more of a comment than a question. So if we have to ask what other options are there, I mean, there are bonanza of options that we could try out. So instead of listing those, I would say that as I was mentioning earlier, a supply demand issue. So in order to say what is the density of people living here and what kind of items are more of a need of the hour and how to facilitate them, that would actually save lives, rather than thinking from a perspective of oh, this is not there, that is not there. So it is like straight away giving a push kind of an scenario to the companies. Like, for example, you go to a manufacturing company, right, wheat flour, and then we tell them we need X kilos of wheat for this locality, and that's kind of made available. Okay, so rather than trying to fight between the competition of the 10 different brands which is giving the wheat flour or the tortillas, so if there could be a dedicated activity to saying that cookies can come from brand XYZ, and they are supposed to meet this locality, and the other brand is supposed to meet the other locality, and so on, of course in tie-up with them, so that one, the companies are also helpful, and I mean they are also winning. At the same time, the people are facilitated with the required cookies or bread or milk at the right timing, so that such kind of a scenario of people not having proper nutrition or not having proper food at the right time is kind of avoided.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so thank you very much. That was it from the questions point of view. Before we go, one question to all three of you. Anything you want to leave with the audience, any one statement, one phrase about data science and the women in data science, then that's your 2 seconds. Who wants to go first?
Okay, it's me. So I started with data science, and if people have to start saying that, I enjoy my work and it is no longer routine, this is the
Mhm.
field. Because
Okay.
every single time you can have different domains, you name a domain, you can actually implement this, and it's going to be challenging every single day, and your intelligence is kind of tested, and creativity as well. So if you want to be different from the current generation, which would say that, oh, it's so routine, I still work with Excel sheets and things like that, and you want to come out and you want to say that, whatever I've studied, I want to implement, this is the field for you.
Okay. Rachna.
I want to actually talk about it in a different way. With respect to the consulting space, I feel that we need to change our appraisal model a little bit. And I think this is something that I would, consider for the middle management and the top management, because there are fewer women, especially in data science, in those aspects. I just feel that a lot of emphasis is on billability. The JDs are more designed to focus on tech, tools, all of that. But somewhere the softer aspects, the flexibility, work hours, those are things we don't discuss, we don't put in there. In the consulting space, we say the more hours you can do, the weekends you can do is better. I have seen as a mentor that a lot of people are driven out of the space because of those kind of points. So as holistically, maybe we need to reapproach it, look at how we want to do appraisals, how HR can kind of manage this, tone it down a little and make it more easier so that women stick on in this space and go to top levels, and they're there in the board as well.
Great stuff. Meltem.
Yeah, so I'm an advocate, women in data science and STEM advocate, and I represent the outreach for GM. I agree and disagree with you a little bit on that last point, because human is not really technically less capable. It's just a little bit of a culture, little bit of a confidence that we are still building. And the best way to promote women or push women forward to that direction is, of course, mentoring. So there are a lot of good mentorship right now, but I was watching this on LinkedIn, and a friend of mine messages because I put today is the Women Equality Day, and Happy Women's Equality Day, everybody. But I would put a message on my LinkedIn, and a friend of mine goes, a male friend of mine says, why are the women not supporting each other? And I think if we can push these barriers, because we have two battles. One is women to women, and I don't see a woman coming to the leadership position supporting other women. I call it like my generation. I'm sorry, I started 20 years ago to change this, and it didn't happen. And my generation, when we became stronger, we started to act like men. So, and then we also have the other gender that we still battle. So we need to really win these two battles in order to close this gap. And the goal right now, UN's goal is to close the gap in 2000. I think it was 2034. We want to close it in the data science earlier than that. And by saying that, I want to close with this. I can offer this for only people in the United States, but I'm looking for an analyst, data scientist who has a couple of background and a couple of years background in analysis, in people analysis, HR. So if you can reach out to me, I have a job for you.
Good stuff. That's brilliant.
I want more women than men applying.
On that note, I would like all three of you to actually nominate another three women in data science who I can bring onto the show and take the cause forward. I'll be more than happy to to take them. The other thing I've seen is that though I do find a few women on the show to come on the show, but they're very shy to come on the show and talk. And that's the other issue which I've got, to get people here and talk about their success stories, because this is about you. This is about your success stories to the world. And I've done that now 11 times in last 6 months. I think it would be every fortnight around one. So and so we've got around about 33 women in data science here. So I want to increase that. So please help me there and try and get their names out there, and I will try and reach out to them and get them on the show. Yeah, thank you very much for your time, girls. Dr. Sheela, unfortunately we couldn't get the video up, but thank you for the show. Thank you for being here. You still there, Dr. Sheela?
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for inviting, and it was an amazing.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, Rachna, for your time. And Dr. Meltem, I tell you, it has been great to have you on the show. 2 o'clock in the morning, you're still awake and talking data science. This is called passion, and this is called commitment.
Thanks for the invitation. I enjoyed a lot. I really enjoy listening the other world of the data science. But on that note, I have a mentee actually. She's in Dubai. I'll give the name, so she will be a great addition to your program.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time. I'll speak to you later.
Thank you, Shailendra.
Thank you. So guys, these were the 3 ladies in data science, 3 women in data science from 3 different parts of the world. We had someone from Bangalore, someone from Singapore, and someone from US. So it was great to have them here. Thank you very much for being here and listening to them. Hope you learned a few things from them. I was very intrigued by the use cases that they shared with us, and it was really, really great fun. So now I will see you next week, but before you go, please do not forget to follow me, like and share this episode with other people so that they can learn a bit more from these leading ladies of data science, and people can benefit out of it. But please, if you're watching it on YouTube, press the bell icon and press the subscribe button. So see you next week. Bye now. Thank you.